very quickly again, if you do not mind, just our names and what we do basically. That's all, just for a little bit. And I will please um, indulge you to please leave your cameras on as we proceed with this session, if you do not mind. Again, my name is Mimi Okana, and I'll be moderating this, conversation. And I'm so excited I get to do this with phenomenal people just as yourselves. Thank you so much for joining in. So please, I will start with you, Mr. Yogo Dubois. So please introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and then we'll move to, our next speaker.
Yeah, Mimi, thank you so much for having me here. Uh, I'm Hugo Dubois. I am the founder and the president of the DRC FinTech Association, federating the fintech companies in the DRC. More recently, I co-founded the DRC operation of ONAFRIC, a Pan-African cross-border payment company.
Okay.
And I am currently running Rego, a newly launched fintech focused on digital identity, payment mediation, and credit bureau infrastructure.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, Mr. Yogo Dubois, for being with us today. We can't wait to hear from you and the amazing things you'll be telling us today. Thank you so much for being here. And to our next speaker, Mr. Abiola Jimo. Very nice and very, enriching to have you here. Please tell us what you do and just a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Abiola Jimo. I am co-founder of Exchange Box. Exchange Box is a mix of both. We're a fintech, but focused on agricultural financing
Right.
and rural SMEs. What that means is that we provide payment platform for every farmer that is able to access our platform through our agency network, and not just provide a payment or wallet system for them. We provide them with access to marketplace to sell their commodities or sell their produce. And we also finance agro trading, which means if you want to supply agricultural product to factory or for exports, we're the right people to speak to. So we are a fintech combining it with agri-tech. A success story we have recorded is that from launching this platform about 3 years ago, today we're happy to also be launching a microfinance bank focused solely on agro trading. So that's why you have PayRep. So Exchange Box has given birth to PayRep Microfinance Bank, which is focused solely for agro trading. Also, I sit on the board as a governing council member of FinTech Association Nigeria, which is something myself and Yogo Deboer share in common. Thank you.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much, gentlemen. This is a very rich CV, if I may. It's very nice. Thank you so much for being here. This conversation should take about 45 minutes to 60 minutes, and I just, needed to say that. And yes, the conversation today surrounds, creating homegrown startup ecosystem that works for Africa. And with what yourself and Mr. Yogo have built over time, I think it's just fair that both of you are really the best people to speak to us today. And before we go further, I would like, I just want to throw this question out there because since we're talking Africa and what, we want to we want to experience in African market and all of that, I just feel like this is the right question to ask. And then I'll start with you, Mr. Yogo. And the question is, what does a truly African startup ecosystem look like, and how is it different from like Silicon Valley or other imported models? We just really just want to have your take on that.
Well, thank you so much, and again for this question. So, from my perspective, a truly African ecosystem is characterized by resilience, community-driven innovation, solution tailored to local challenges like infrastructure gaps, informal economies, and all diverse cultural contexts. For example, In Africa, you have deep involvement of religion like Islam or Christianity in various communities. So the offering that we can bring to this context are quite influenced by this cultural value or belief or approach. So I like the Silicon Valley that focus on high risk, high rewards, like they prioritize global expansion, quick exit, and so forth. The the African startup ecosystem has to be delivering a certain value to the community because of the type of technology that we use.
Is it my network?
Hello?
Okay, can you hear me
I don't
now?
know what's happened. Yes. So
Okay.
because of type of challenges we have locally here. So I like the when Abiola introduced himself, the type of needs they are attending to in the agricultural trade, for example, to combine that solution in the fintech space is quite amazing. So this is the type of, as I said, community-driven solution that need to be emphasized. How do we create value and impact the community rather than pursuing high rewards, global impact, and exit quickly? Like the VC will be driving the investment approach. So that is my take on that question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deborah. That was very insightful. And Mr. Jimo, you are somebody who goes down to the grassroots, to ensure that you merge traditional, ways of loans for, traders and farmers and all of that. You have touched the grassroots and you know the people. And I want to believe that you can, you understand the people, the market, and how to globalize them. And so I think that this question should be for you. And the question is, where have global models failed in Africa, and what should we be learning instead from our own traditions and grassroots system?
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Deborah, for laying the foundation for this conversation. I think what you've asked me and what Mr. Deborah has established a premise on, much aligned.
Yeah.
So the reality is this. Global models, Silicon Valley models is not quite a copy and paste model for us in Africa. We are very community-based people.
Yes, we
We have a bit of challenge in terms of earning capacity. I don't see us as being poor. We just have very low earning capacity, especially
Okay.
when you compare it with the dollar. We have very low earning capacity. Our appetite or taste is not also as luxurious, except for recently. Traditionally, we are not as luxurious in taste, in terms of wealth accumulation so much. We are more of community-driven people in Africa. So looking at it from that perspective, you cannot really bring a copy and paste model in terms of turning an African startup to necessarily a unicorn overnight, an IPO-led model. If you want to run a successful, what you want to do in Nigeria or in Africa generally is a model that works. One, a platform that solves real problems that affect real people of Africa. Talk about logistics, talk about payments, talk about agricultural solutions, talk about health issues. You understand? And if you study the trend of platforms that has really worked in Africa, you will see them to have been suitable in either fintech, and that's why fintech is like the most popular thing, because we really struggle with issues on payments in Africa. And if you can bring a solution that works on that, either a SUSU system, which means contributory system in
Yeah.
communities, either remittances, which means bringing back money from foreign people that went to work to support their families to make them better, or you are supporting solutions that drive towards healthcare to provide healthcare in a very simple and easier way instead of having long queues in hospital, or you support solutions that are driven towards agric, which means a farmer needs money to plant. Also, a farmer needs a place to sell his produce, to reduce post-harvest losses, to earn better. All right? You will find out that the problems we have is not quite the same way the model in other parts of the world. The West, is different entirely. Global North is entirely different from what we have here. Most of the products outside Africa are for more any people driving towards convenience, driving towards reduction of interface with people. But whatever solution you build in Africa must still bring that community factor into it. You must price it such a way that people can really afford it. All right. So you're going to do your unit economy such that I can afford it, you can afford it. A common man in Africa can afford it, because the majority of the population are not people that have so much money to spend. But out of the little they have, if you can do your unit economy such that it can cover so many people at so many times, you will still be profitable like every other one in Silicon Valley and the rest of it. But not necessarily leading you to an IPO, you understand, or not necessarily leading you to a big exit, but a sustainable, truly rewarding profitability. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a very
I'd like
beautiful
to
perspective.
I'd like to intervene here and then make a comment here of something that I've seen when I was a
Okay.
child.
All right.
Our mothers usually they use the circle of friendship to run a rotating saving and credit association. So most of the time, this kind of it's actually a financial service in a certain way, because they will raise a small amount of money that they contribute regularly, so that every month one of them will cash out to fund a specific project. So this type of funding, for example, for small farmers in the village or wherever the place is, can help a group of people to build trust, and then through that trust, for example, to see how they can improve each one activity from the community standpoint. All right. So with the advance of technology today, structure like the rotating saving and credit association could be modernized and bring to scale to onboard the entire village to build a kind of credit vetting through the trust, but also to bring the social impact of the funds raised by the community, used by the community to build the lasting impact solution for the business owners, the farmers, and so forth. So, just to give that idea, just to say, this is one of the models that I've seen, and it could be modernized in a way that we maximize the impact in the Africa context.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that contribution, Mr. Dubois. That is very, very provoking to think. It's beautiful. And this leads me to my next question. And this question is for you, Mr. Yogo. The question is, what role should corporate or legacy industries play in co-creating startup ecosystem? Because both of you have have been speaking about the need for us to expand traditional means in a way that serves us as Africans, and how people from grassroots can really just relate and buy into. And sometimes that can be daunting on the sides of the founders, young founders, and all of that. And yes, and that is why I feel like this question is important. And I'll repeat the question to you, Mr. Yogo. What role should corporate or legacy industries play in co-creating startup ecosystem?
Thank you so much for that. Before I answer to that question, I would give an example of something as I've seen in the US. It's just a foot of observation. I want one day to service my car. In my home country here, when I go for a service, it will take me an hour or two. For some reason, I don't know. It took me to do the oil change. It took me 5 minutes. I was in my car, not out of the car, 5 minutes. And at the same time, I wanted to change the brake pads and all the rudder and everything. They say, "Oh, that will take you an hour," but the job that plus the job, everything go together an hour. But what they did, they have an ERP, that shop as an ERP connected to all the part vendors around the area. So whatever you need is just a click away. So that shop is supported by that ecosystem held probably by an association or a corporation. So what I'm saying here, big corporate today are the center of SME creation. For example, in the mining sector, there are a lot of opportunity for outsourcing manpower, for example. In agriculture, probably there could be another type of activity that support the main activity. That would be the role of corporate. So the corporate creates the opportunity for small one. I've seen that also in this type of. I'm calling this example just to show the role of the corporate and the entire ecosystem in South Africa. The insurance industry function in the way that these big corporates, they will tell you, you buy an insurance over the phone, they send you somewhere to do a check before they validate your policy. That check is a small shop that probably fix windscreen and so forth. They will do the inspection for the insurance company. And that is an opportunity for that small one to play a role in the bigger ecosystem on the insurance ecosystem. Decide that you want to repair for something. The insurance company does not own any shop, a repair shop, for whatever reason. They don't own any tow truck. So there is this tow truck business is connected to the insurance overall ecosystem. You see, so in the context of the fintech, in the context of startup ecosystem, the big corporates, because of modernization, creates this opportunity for niche markets. Small companies can fill this gap altogether. So what I'm saying is that the regulation today should work in the way that restrict, for example, the scope of the big corporate where to play and create a space for smaller one to plug into the bigger industry to be relevant and to fill some needs.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dubois. That is very, very insightful. Thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation, and I'm really, learning so much, even as I am moderating. And I'm looking forward to, to more of that. And back to you, Mr. Jimo. I think that, and this is a very personal perspective and take, I feel like one of the struggles for startup who focuses on rural areas and people, trying to, reach out to people in on the served communities is trust. It's trying to create trust between you trying to build something and the person you're trying to build. Because really, as Africans, we we trust our esusu more than we want to trust, someone who comes and says, there's a pay rep and you can do that. So, and I just really want to ask you this. How do we break the urban bias in startup support and extend infrastructure to underserved regions? Because when these people are just, meeting you for the first time and you are talking about pay rep, how do you first, break the bias in that startup system and then, extend infrastructure to those underserved communities? What are those steps you take? What are those things you have to put in place that are not in your professional book, and really just strategies? So just wanted to share your strategies with us, if possible.
I mean, thank you. I'm not going to lie to you about what we do and how we do it, because
Okay.
I need this to be practical, because I need more people to support what we're doing.
Okay.
We're simply using agency network. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
A farmer dials a phone number that they can speak their local language to. So what we do is we're able to integrate multiple phone lines. So it's just one line, but you can use it to receive call in multiple phones. All right. That most of our agents carry around in different communities. We call them warehouse agents. So when they call, the call is able to be redirected to the closest one to the farmer or to the trader. By the way, people that we buy from are not necessarily farmers. Sometimes they are the middlemen who buy from the farmers and they want to sell their produce. All right. Because to be honest with you, our work is beyond payment. Our work is also like we are an aggregator. We buy farm produce and we supply to factories and we export. Sometimes we don't export directly, we export through middlemen. But this is the point I'm trying to make. We do the groundwork, but we don't do it. I mean, I'm here, but the way the groundwork is done is agents in communities are called on phone. We're working now with a partner to use AI to translate their local language to English or translate it to relatable form for our people, you know. So when you call and say, Mimi says she has 10 bags of tomato, the area we struggle is quality. It's not even about the availability of the quality of the tomatoes. It's really about quality of the tomatoes, because there are certain quality standards that we need to make to get good sales for what we're trying to sell as well. So the agents then go there. We call them warehouse agents. They go there to inspect that the tomatoes are fine or the okra is fine, because we sell heavily on perishable items, because that's an area ignored. Are you aware that over 72% of perishable farm produce are wasted all across West Africa? Yes. Tomatoes are not well preserved. They have a very short span. If you don't preserve tomatoes for 3-4 days, they're gone. The real juice is gone. Onions takes about 6 months to sometimes 8 months, but if you don't preserve them well, they're also gone. They are bad. You have to scrape most part of it to be able to even use it. Sorry, I trained as a lawyer, but I'm not a farmer, so you see.
I like that.
You know, so those are the key areas that. So we essentially buy, but for grains is a no-brainer. The only problem with grains, for example, is maize, is sesame that has very high quality, especially if you're going to push them for export. So for those, what we do is our agents go and inspect. When the quality is good, we negotiate and buy. So when we buy, we have already sent out like a marketplace to factories, all right, to saying that, listing that we can help them get this. By the way, one of the things we're working on now is also making this space more open for people to invest. So I'm currently before the Securities and Exchange Commission in Nigeria to say, okay, we can do a trade port system. So a lot of time, money to buy these things are not always available. We have to source it from people. In fact, that's one of the reasons we went for the banking route, but we still find that it's not still adequate. So we're trying to create a trade port system. I hope you're not going to charge me for adverts. We're trying to create a trade port system where you can, if I have a sale that is going to cost maybe $400 or naira, 400,000 naira, I can break that into 10 people trade pod. So 10 people trade pod can then contribute $40, and I can give a prospectus that says you can make between 9 to 10% for investing on this, and the trade cycle is 30 days or 40 days. So it's easier to have money to buy from the farmers that way. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of that, your money that you kept in your GT or your Zenith Bank or your Money Point account or PayRep Microfinance when we launch, you can use that money to turn under a safe condition, because we're also guided by the SEC. And before going for this route, it's because we've been trading on this route for about 3 years now. So we see that it might not be so aggressive, but it's constant, it's stable, it's reliable. All right, it's real too. And you're also making impacts. All right.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things we want to do. But to answer your question, we are building trust through the community guys that know them, who are called our agents, who extend, but don't forget we're extending a few things to them. Payment service, ability to sell their produce. All right. We're also monitoring quality of life that we're able to impact by what we do. And you know, another thing we throw in to have a sticker with them, like to make them stick to us, is that when you sell a produce of certain threshold to us, you get health insurance for free for at least 3 months.
Wow.
Yes. But you know what we
That's
found out? We have to call them to even make them use the hospital. And that same phone line they can call to sell their produce is also an emergency contact line. So if you are even an emergency, they can call. We get them ambulance to, to do the needful. But we have to even beg them to do all that. You understand what I'm saying? So Africa is quite local. Do you understand? So you have to understand the local to do the local work.
yes.
Exactly.
So I
That's
mean, let me leave for Mr. Yogo to continue.
Maybe
thank
Thank
you.
to make a little comment on the understanding of
Yes, please go ahead.
the urban bias, in the context of Africa startup ecosystem. So we are also, referring to the disproportion of concentration of resources, investment funding, and all the support that, for example, a urban center may receive. For example, you see in a more metropolitan and urban area where, for example, you may have some accelerators, incubators, and so forth. But the same if we have to extend the opportunity where the need is, like, for example, in a rural area. I really like what Abula said in the beginning. Like, they are putting payment solution to the farmers, and then he became a farmer himself because he understand the real need in the farming area. So you see, for example, uh, little resources come through maybe international development organization to look at the rural area, but you don't see the same involvement in the the same level of involvement in the metropolitan area where more resources are done to develop the startup ecosystem. So this bias is also due to the fact that it assumes that people in the rural area are less educated, or maybe they are educated but of lower standard and so forth.
Standard.
The bias really create the gap in terms of the opportunity and the understanding of the need to address and the allocated resources to meet those needs.
I like the fact that you didn't just, speak on the sellers and the farmers, but also the buyers, because I think that that is something, sometimes we skip. And I'm
Mm.
so glad that you did address the buyers, because we all have a role to play if we want to ensure a safe, Africa for startup and founders. Thank you so much, Mr. Dubois, for that. Also, this question is also for you, Mr. Dubois. How do
Mhm.
we move from a pitch competition culture to building revenue generating durable businesses?
You know,
Yes.
I like to respond to what I heard from a dear man of God. Is in Nigeria. So most of the time when I come to Nigeria was to attend important meetings organized by the Reverend Dr. Chris Akilome. One day he said the most important part of someone's life is to identify a need and reach out to meet those needs. Unlike the context of the Silicon Valley, where investment is done for probably money and quick exit and we sell. Um, in the context of Africa, startup is to identify a specific need, because I believe in that strongly. If a need is identified, that could be a long-term industry growth happening because there is a specific need. I'll
I'm
give
writing that right now.
a
I'm writing that in my book. That is very, very profound.
I'm gonna give you an example, a very simple example. Some nobody observed, probably not many people have observed. First time I went to Nigeria in 2008, I stayed in a small hotel when they were building the expressway. The hotel was city hotel, whatever, city lodge or whatever. Not from the city lodge group in South Africa, but that a local city lodge. City lodge. I don't know if that hotel exists. So I asked for the breakfast and I was given yam. But from my context, in Congo, you will see we have lot of
But from my
bakery.
context,
We have a lot of bakeries because people eat bread daily, like every day for breakfast. We cannot afford not to have bread. So what I'm saying, the need in the Congolese market, for example, is that, oh, culturally people eat bread. So the more bakery we have, the more opportunity we have. So we have the population to eat those breads. What I'm saying here is that, is there a need, a specific need we need to answer to? If that need isn't identified, then that is the industry we need to focus on building. If there is no need, then there is no long term, there is no long game. It could be just a short term opportunity for money, but not for serious impact. Remember, in the beginning, we said that the African context has to be an innovation that will be driven by the community impact, social impact, rather than just the cash in, cash out quickly. You see what I mean? Uh, to conclude, my point here is we need to reach out to specific needs and response to our needs. If you see industrialized community, like you go to the US, Europe, you will see some basic needs, something that we could see extra here has been addressed, attended to long time ago, because they understood what is the recurring needs, how to create an industry around it, and build the economic value. You see, for example, small towns, cities, or counties in America that can produce a GDP of an African country. Why? Because they have done that long time ago. So I think where we are at now in Africa is to understand the dynamics of our needs and community and build industries around those. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The fact that you've successfully linked Africans' need to African solutions really just makes it really easy for people to just understand. It's not as complicated as people want to make it to be. Just identify a need and find a solution. Thank you so much. And Mr. Jimo, back to you. And before we go back to your question, I just really want to know what motivated you to leave law for agriculture and startups and all that. Why? What happened?
The honest answer is I just find myself here. So I'm not going to preach one big motivation because it doesn't exist for me. I just find out that I find myself in mobile money around 2010 as an in-house counsel. But I found out I was more of a field guy. So every time they want to go on the field, and at that time to scope mobile money needs and all that, I was always there with the operations and business team, just out of interest of, and this was my excuse to them that time. If I don't understand what you're doing on the field, how do I craft a good agreement? Unknown to me that I was laying a foundation for myself,
for yourself,
to get my hands dirty, so to speak. And I just find it interesting.
Yeah.
And I also find out that payments in Nigeria or in Africa cannot be linked to just payments as a solution. You must embed other things alongside payment.
Yeah.
If you want to make it sustainable.
Thank you so much. I was just curious and I needed to know, but thank you. Now I know. And I'm asking you this. What's the one startup ecosystem myth you wish more people will unlearn?
I think that there's no foreign investor coming to save us.
I agree with that.
We need to reorient our mind towards that. We need to unlock African wealth to build African solutions.
Wow. Please say that again. That is important. Please.
Yes, we need to unlock African wealth to build African solutions. And it's something I'm not just campaigning for, it's something I believe in. And that's why I said I want a system where you can end with your 5K, 2K, 3K in your account instead of just keeping it there. So that's like unlocking African wealth to grow our growth sector, for example.
Thank you so much.
We need to unlock African wealth to grow African solutions. We must do it for ourselves. This standard template for every founder now is You start a startup, you start achieving early traction, then you look for Silicon Valley money or foreign money to grow. It's not going to work. Look for how to first build a business that is truly sustainable. And hopefully, as we grow more, we'll be able to use African wealth to unlock African solutions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm having
I'd
to,
like to put a contribution towards that.
okay.
You know, when I was growing, I've been told that my country is extremely rich. But the contrast, people are living in extreme poverty. More recently, I was searching about the wealth of my country in terms of natural resources. It is nearly equal to the current time US GDP size. The current GDP of the United States is almost the value of what we have on the ground. But why are we poor? Why is it that we're not moving forward? So, to join the point, to Abiola's point, is that we need to leverage what we have to build Africa. We need to use what we have in serious conversation to change the narrative, to change the economy, to change the regulation, to change the trade. We need really. It's like we don't show up empty-handed. We have something, so we need to use Africa resources to build Africa. Thank you. Mimi, where is she? I cannot. Oh, it's like a connection is a problem. Abiola, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think Mimi is having a bit of connection.
Yeah. So just while we're waiting for Mimi to return, Africa has a lot to offer. Our leaders and ourselves as entrepreneurs, industry leaders, we need really to step up to know what we have and to engage meaningfully with some local partners, global partners, but to put Africa first. And
Yes.
and that is my standpoint here.
Yes, I mean, speaking of putting Africa first, Yogo, maybe we should start from here. You look at yourself, look at me. Do we look different? I mean, it looks like
Yeah,
you're from Nigeria.
I am. I told you I am Olamide.
No, I know, but I mean, one way or the other, you are Congolese. I'm Nigerian, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
But our faces, when we go to the world, what we represent is black. It's African. We don't really
Exactly.
represent Nigeria or Congo. Do you understand what I'm
Indeed.
saying? So
Indeed.
I have a serious problem with the fact that up till now, you need visas for each African country. I need visa to come to Congo. You need visa to come to Nigeria. And we're here in Africa. Start from there. How do you create and unlock wealth in Africa when an African to an African, there's a problem entry? The same thing with business. I mean, the European Union have gotten that right. You can just get a blue card, which allows you to walk across Europe. But there is no card of such that allows him to walk across Africa. Do you understand?
What I like about one of the respected founder in Africa, Daheo Kujo, that is the founder and the group CEO of Bonafrique. In my early contacts when I joined the company then in First Africa in 2016, he said something to me, and I believe I'm not the only person he has said to. His vision then was to be able to move money across the continent at a fraction of price. Yeah, but also at the same time, the company stands with the motto, say, make the border matter less. So that translate that idea you just said earlier. How can we move from one border to another without friction? How can we be relevant in Nigeria and offer something that is adapted in the DRC and the entry is easy? Recently, we were having a conversation around the fintech passporting at the Africa Fintech Network. I'm a sitting board member. The idea is from one regulatory environment in a country, West Africa, how can we extend the same privilege in another market where, for example, a fintech in Nigeria can easily expand to the DRC or to any other country through the passporting facilitation. So this is one of the topics that the Africa Fintech Network is actually looking at to see how this could be a reality in the African context.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Mimi,
So
you're
Mimi, are
back.
you back? Oh, your voice, your mic is not
Your
working.
voice, we can't hear you.
Okay,
We still
your
can't hear
voiceless.
you.
No, we can read your lips, but we're not hearing anything. I think you need to select the source so that it's sent to. Yeah.
Okay, I think Mimi is struggling with network till now.
And beside talking about the startup ecosystem, particularly in Nigeria, when it comes to agriculture, are you the only player offering this type of services, or there are other competitors in the market?
Okay, so there are a couple of competitors in the market. Our model is a bit different in terms of the delivery, in terms of how we do what we do. But there are lots of people that are doing what we call input financing. What that means is that you give farmers finance, or you buy them the raw seeds to plant, and because you already bought them, you form them into cluster group. They are more obligated to sell back to you about 50 to 60% of the produce that they make from the farm. So it's a long waiting period, but it's very profitable for the people providing the input because they get a lot of seeds, lot of farm harvest to sell to factories for export and what have you. Our model is strictly, we want to be able to help farmers with sales, help them with financing, and our model is also combining two clusters, two focus groups together, not just farmers, farmers and rural market women, because farming doesn't happen all through the year. Farming is seasonal. All right,
Indeed.
farming is seasonal, right? So while farmers are those seasons, another area for me now is market women, people that have kiosks and shops in different communities. Through the same agency network, we open accounts for them. We watch their trade. So if you collect money through our system consistently for 6 months, we extend your credit. But from your daily payment to your daily proceeds, we take some part of the money back. You know.
Yeah. So I know we are getting closer to our the end of this conversation. I wanted to anticipate some of the questions that we have had in our handbook. So, what will be, in your opinion, of course, what will be your message to the next generation of founders, ecosystem builders who are part of this conversation today, who are watching us what would you say to them? I'm gonna respond to that too, but I wanted to hear you first, and I'm gonna also give my feedback on this.
Okay, so for if you're a founder, I think you heavily need to have a community of people that you can rely on for support, for networking. Africa is still a very traditional environment where I vouch for you. You can't build in isolation in Africa. So
Mm.
you are here, we've met. If someone is talking about agric in Africa or in Nigeria, you're likely going to say, okay, I know Abiola. He has been running this for 3 years. Can you speak to him? So that's how it works in Africa. I don't know how it works in the rest of the world, but that's how it works in Africa. We're community-based people. So don't build in isolation. Seek for mentorship with humility. I'm still looking for mentorship till date. I've been doing this for about 5 years, but I still look for mentorship. And I don't think I've arrived at any point. I mean, I've arrived in Nigeria means you made money. I don't think I've
Mm-hmm.
arrived at any point. I
Mm-hmm.
still reach out to gain, because the greatest fear for me as a founder is that you say everything you've built can just turn one day. One wrong decision and you can be on the ground. That's the biggest fear for me as a founder. So humble yourself, build community, seek mentorship as much as you can.
From my standpoint, just to add, not to repeat what you said, because I concur to this, is how to make it last, right? So someone can start something good, but there is a tomorrow, and the younger generation can, take over and continue with the vision. If you see established economies, there are a lot of building blocks, but most importantly, the continuity. Yeah, a brilliant idea can be brilliant today, but it can evolve. I'll close with an example. Um, I went to Frankfurt one day. That was in when I was doing my MBA. We visited the factory of Opel, the car
Oh,
manufacturer,
okay.
and I went to the museum of the factory. Opel, the founder, he was making sewing machines and bicycles, not cars. But when he was gone, his sons decided to make a car. The common element of whatever they did was the wheel. Sewing machine, you have a wheel. Yeah. Bicycle, you have a wheel.
As well.
Car, you have a wheel. That is the
Yeah.
common ground, the wheel. But innovation came with the new generation. I saw the first car, if I recall well, it took them about 32 or 36 days to assemble. But at the time I was there, the factory was producing 800 cars a day.
Whoa.
And that is in 2019. No, I was there in 2017. Let me remember. No, I was there in 2016. Sorry, 2016. Yeah, 800 cars. Not the same car in the assembly line. Different type of car, steering, drive, different side. In the same assembly line, they produce 800 cars a day. From making the body to putting the engine and everything else, 800 cars a day.
Interesting.
So what I'm saying here is that an idea can be born by a founder today, but refined and improved by another one tomorrow. And then we have the bigger thing much later. Like Amazon started with the books, now is the largest cloud service provider, the global leader in the cloud services. Uh, you know, so that is the way I think we should do in Africa. A founder should not die with his brilliant idea, and nobody continues to develop the same to improve the community.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that is my last word for today.
Thank you. That's very powerful.
much, Yogo and Abdullah. Why, Mimi, are you able to join? While we are waiting for Mimi to join in, um, from the audience, if you have questions for the panelists, you can either type your question in the comment part of this conversation, or you can indicate, and we bring you up to the studio to ask your question. So the audience, if you have any question for the panelists, you can indicate in the comment part of this conversation, or you can just indicate and we bring you up to the studio. Okay, so just a general question for both Abiola and Yogo. If given the opportunity, now you have a magic wand to change one thing in Africa, to be able to create a better startup ecosystem for founders, a startup ecosystem that will be enviable for other ecosystems like the Silicon Valley and the likes, um, a much needed startup ecosystem. If you are given a magic wand to change something, either to add or to remove, what one thing would you change in the ecosystem? Let's start with Yogo,
The mindset.
the
That is key
mindset.
to everything. The mindset. You know,
Okay.
I'm going to explain this.
Mm-hmm.
When you believe you can do something, you are likely to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are able to do something, but you believe you can't, you won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
One of my preferred motto is that I set up my mind in whatever situation to swim upstream, to change the status quo, to be radical, to change things, even in the most adverse situation, to make things happen. If I am capable of changing people to that, trust me,
Mm-hmm.
Africa will change. It will change. You hear more the majority in Africa when there is a problem. They say, hey, we are waiting for the international community. We are waiting for the international community. Okay, in the early stage of the industrialization of these advanced countries, where was the international community to help them get out of the problems? And why then we have to now expect the international community to bring the solution to African problems? So I believe the change of mindset is key to everything, regardless of the industry, is key to everything.
I think this is even a bigger conversation. Abiola, what do you think? Because I think the mindset thing is not just about startups. Even the government, you see them, they are looking for foreign aids and all of those things, right? Almost every sector is looking for the international community to either give them aid or to help them and all of those things. What do you think about what Yogo has said?
I think yes, mindset is a big issue because without mindset, so I would say that you are going to be as big as what you believe you can do. If you believe you can't do anything, I mean, you're not going to do anything. I trained as a lawyer. I'm in fintech because I believe I can do it. You know, I mean, fintech and agriculture, I believe you can do. You train as a lawyer. You are an ecosystem development expert because you believe you can do and make impact. That's what you're doing. Mr. Yogo is there. Of course, he has the business development, business management skills, so he's well suited for what he's doing. Thank you. But for me, I think in addition to mindset, it is uh, continuity of vision. Uh, we need to
Indeed.
continue believing our vision. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. A lot of people just want to do the easy thing and just and just make it work for them. We didn't set out that Exchange Box will be doing agri, to be honest with you. We set out on the same business model as Money Point. The same business model as Money Point, which is agency collections, SME lending and all that. But we saw that our competitors heavily raise money and are in that industry already. As far back as 2 years ago, we didn't raise as fast as they were. We didn't have the funds to execute as fast as they were. So we picked an industry that we learned from our days in mobile money, which is agri. And by the way, all along while we were doing agency collections, we had already been doing agri lending through our second company. And we saw the numbers there. So we felt this makes more sense. This makes more sense. So we decided to pivot accordingly, So pivoting means continuity of vision. So you pivot. You keep on changing and experimenting. And I don't believe a startup should start easily announcing their pivot until they have a traction that is making sense around it. I don't know why you have to quickly go to TechAba and say, I pivoted to cloud, when you are still figuring it out. Build in silence. Build it consistently, pivot as much as you can. When it's successful, people will see that it's successful. If you fail from it, you pick up again. But continuity of vision. What's your vision? Your clarity of vision gives you a clear alignment of where you need to be and how you need to get there. So apart from mindset, we also need continuity of vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abiola, for the point you've added, continuity of vision, and then from Yogo, we have mindset. We have one question from the audience. We have another question from the audience. What are your thoughts on the need for stable internet connectivity and contributing to startup growth? Abiola? Or
Okay,
do
I
you
think
want to go first? Yogo,
please let
Yogo wants to
Yogo
go
take
first.
that.
So
First of
please.
all, I
Yogo
wanted
take
to
that.
break down the question in different pieces so that we can respond more effectively. The need, how relevant is the need of stable internet in terms of contribution to what startup? So, uh, uh, internet comes with some type of resources that a startup can access to. For example, if it's a tech startup, of course, you won't need to put hardware in the physical data center because of cost. You want to leverage the cloud resources. And the cloud resources, you have different software that is pre-configured for you so that you can do your thing quickly. So in that sense, for example, the stable internet is very key for you to access these resources and to achieve whatever you are to achieve. In terms of business continuity, for example, in the fintech space, in major tech companies, the business continuity is one of the key metrics we need to monitor to ensure that we offer the best service in the markets, no interruption, and so forth. So the stable internet, as far as the infrastructure access is concerned, the tech infrastructure in the cloud, that plays a role. But now, how to make it happen to help the startup? So that's, you have different type of stakeholders. You have, for example, the government stakeholders. In terms of the digital transformation agenda of different countries. It could be a government agency, regulator, or maybe the Ministry of Telecommunication or Digital. With the national plan, in the DRC, we have the National Digital Transformation Plan, where the government is poised to upgrade the digital infrastructure, really, so that the access to internet be, first of all, affordable, but also reliable for business operations, right? And in 2023, the country has published a new law that we call the Digital Code Numerique, and there we have the mind of the government in terms of the framework to push the digital agenda. So that is a major thing that needs to happen in a specific country to enable startup really to access the resources they need. But also today, for example, you can acquire skills through internet. When I co-founded on Africa in the DRC in my early stage, I took some youngsters from university. These were my first employees. For 9 months, I crafted specific training program for different skills and future positions on LinkedIn. So it was the LinkedIn learning that I use as my source of training for the team. So of course, you cannot access this type of quality training without a reliable internet. It's mostly the video content that you get there. You have Udemy or other e-learning platforms that are accessible via internet. Much long time ago, it was not possible. So startups need skills that can be acquired through internet, operation, like to rent an office on its own is a cost, right? So at the early stage could be one desk at the co-working center, but all other collaborators can work from home. So the internet is a major factor in running operation in the early stage at a very affordable cost.
Thank
I
you
hope I
very much.
answered to the question.
Yes, thank you very much, Myogo. Abiola, I don't know whether you have anything to add to that while we round up.
I mean, internet is life now. It's a medium of connectivity beyond just being a startup, even being an African citizen. Cost of internet, especially in some African countries, are quite high now. So it also makes the cost for people in rural communities to be able to get into building anything in tech. I think what I want to lean towards is more of we need to build the right infrastructure to support growth of the ecosystem in Africa. Starting with not just internet, even data center. AWS cost has been reported in more than 17 startups that has folded up that have read their reports of closure. AWS costs for some startups is as high as $12,000, $4,000. I don't know about Congo, but in Nigeria, if you convert that to naira, you're already paying about 7 million naira at an average in data management, in hosting and cloud services. I mean, how much are you going to make in the long run if you start running that kind of cost? So we need to build the right infrastructure because I believe African built. I know that a local data cloud system has been built by some African countries, but people are still saying they are not quite friendly to use, and not also uptime is also bad compared to the one that AWS and the rest of it. But I mean, there's apparent reason for that. There's problem with infrastructure, like I said, lights, electricity, and when there's electricity downtime, it means the cloud service cannot be up and running all the time. So we need to invest really in infrastructure, and not just government, private government partnership should be driven towards infrastructure. We have a lot of sunlight in Africa, so solar system makes it easy to also build solar turbines that can be used to power alternative electricity channel and power other services as well. So yes, I would not see this question just in terms of internet. I would rather see it in terms of intentional investments in infrastructure. If we can do that, I think it makes it easier. And not to concentrate infrastructure just in city centers. Because if you say you want to know Nigeria and you just see Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, you think that's all Nigeria. No, there are lots of areas in Nigeria that don't have that kind of bubbly life. If you see just Kinshasa and you think you're seeing Congo, you'll not be seeing everything about Congo. You probably see all the beautiful people in Kinshasa, like Mr. Yogo. Yeah, so you not see the real people of Congo. So we need to build infrastructure across Africa to really make Africa sustainable. Thank you.
Amen. I like
Are
that.
you saying Mr. Yogo is not real. He said
I
No,
mean,
I am real.
you got the
I
message,
think I
right?
am real. But statistically speaking, I do not represent all that a Congolese is. So we have
Exactly.
yeah.
diversity here, uh, and we have different tribes and customs. So
Mhm.
Congo is very rich culturally, like Nigeria. So Yogo is just a tiny bit of Congo, but Congo is much bigger than Yogo.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much, Abiola. Thank you, Yogo. I think why Abiola was rounding up, he mentioned something about intentional investment, that it's not just about data and or it's about the government and the relevant stakeholders intentionally investing in these sectors that power the economy. Example, data, cloud storage services, and the likes. And this is one of the conversations we are bringing to you at the next session of this webinar next week, where we are talking about how government funding can enable private investment. How can government funding enable the ecosystem, both in terms of funding? How can government incentivize other investors to invest in the economy? So that's the conversation we are bringing to you next week, the same day, I think 31st July next week. So use the link in the comment part of the conversation to join our WhatsApp group, and you also get the registration link. In the meanwhile, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring the notification bell so that whenever we go live, you are notified. But then for the next conversation, next week, Friday, we are talking about how government funding can enable other sources of funding to be able to power the startup ecosystem. And we are bringing individuals from the VC sector. We are bringing funders, government-enabled funders from Canada, from Kenya, from Nigeria, and other people within VC to elaborate more on this topic and see how we can build a better ecosystem for Africa. So once again, if you are yet to join the WhatsApp group, use the link in the comment part of this conversation to join. And then for next webinars, ring the notification bell for our YouTube channel so that you're notified, and then subscribe to the channel. Then when you join the WhatsApp group, you'll be added to other conversation, especially our upcoming conference in November. So that is it for now. So we want to really appreciate our panelists for today, Mr. Abiola Jimo and Mr. Yogo. Thank you very much for creating our time. Thank you very much for sharing the insights and wisdom, your knowledge and experience in the ecosystem. It's about building the Africa we want. We are tired of going out, as Yogo has said, is a mindset thing. We are tired of waiting on the international community. In fact, as at last month or thereabout, when the USAID fund was pulled out, a lot happened in Africa. We all know that, people losing their jobs and all of those things, right? But this is something. This is an economy we can build for ourselves if we have the mindset that we can do that. Like, we have more than enough resources to do amazing things in Africa, but it's all about how we manage these resources and the mindset that we will be able to do this if we able. In fact, we also bringing someone into this conversation. I think she runs a fund for Africa, where she's advocating that building an intra-African trade is more beneficial versus inter-African trade. So just like Abiola has mentioned, trade within Africa with a common passport, a common currency, and every other thing would be more beneficial to the African economy versus trading with the outside world and exchanging it with dollar and the like. So it enables us to build our own economy, our own currency, and the general African economy as a whole, just like Europe has done. So we are looking forward to more exciting conversations like this. So In the meantime, thank you everyone for joining this conversation, and thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you, Mr. Yogo and Mr. Abiole, again for joining and for your insight. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mr. Yogo, happy to connect outside there. So please reach out on LinkedIn. Thank you.
I'll do so. Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye.